Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing some Exodia Destiny Hero test hands. I'm really excited for this one, guys, because this is actually the first time I've done an Exodia test hand video, and this is probably the perfect example to do a test hand of, because this deck basically plays solitaire with itself, which is kind of interesting for this particular build. It's not like your average run-of-the-mill Exodia deck, because it can actually play around if Exodia gets taken out of your hand, which is why this is my particular favorite build of Exodia. But you guys commented on the video and was like, hey, we really want to see Exodia test hands. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Why not? It's a really interesting deck, and I'm really excited to show you guys this particular build because it's really fun and really weird. And it's not your standard Toon Table of Contents, Royal Magical Library build, which is what's really interesting. So without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below where you have all those awesome rewards, you guys, like getting your name description in every single video, getting a signed card in the mail, or even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron along with test hands. So without further ado, let's go ahead and pile shuffle this deck up really quick and see what we can do, because this deck is really insane. It's really consistent, which is what's really cool about it. In all the play testing that I have done, I can play through at least one or two hand traps, I'll be honest. I can usually win by turn 3. And you probably will not get OTK'd. Like, usually in an Exodia deck, you're kind of worried about that getting OTK'd, or getting your opponent will, like, go after you for different plays and you'll get shut down. And this deck just doesn't have that ability. The only time that this deck really loses is if your opponent has a way to stop you from drawing altogether. That's the only way that you really lose, or if they activate something that stops spell cards like an Imperial Order, then you're kind of in a bad position. This deck can play through all sorts of stuff like Vanity's Fiend and stuff like that, Vanity's Ruler, and it's just not worried about it. But if your opponent gives you like 4 or so negates, just about any deck is going to crumble under that. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for this particular test hand and see what we can pull off. So let's go ahead and shuffle and let's see what we can pull. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and draw the head of Exodia. We already won. We're going to draw a copy of Destiny Draw. We draw a copy of Trade In, Drill Dark, and a copy of Draw Hand. Okay, so as you can see, we already have a Draw 2 in our hand. It doesn't matter if we go first or second because it just doesn't in this deck. If you were to draw, you're going to draw into a Draw Hand anyways. So you can do some really easy plays with this particular opening hand. And you can go ahead and use your copy of Trade In, or Destiny Draw, excuse me, to draw 2 off the top of the deck, which is going to get you a Golden Bamboo Sword and a copy of a Draw Hand to your side of the field. So we're going to go ahead, and I usually do some simple stuff with this opening hand. I'll go ahead and normal summon out the Drill Dark, and then special summon out the Draw Hand to my side of the field, because when the copy of Drill Dark is normal summon, you can special summon out a copy of your another Destiny hero that has the same attack or less than this card, which is 1600. So now you can go ahead and link summon, or you can do what I like to do and actually overlay. You can either link summon or you can go for an Anaconda. I probably would go for the Anaconda here because it's going to get you a little bit more plays with your copy of Dominance. So once you go ahead into your copy of Anaconda, the Anaconda is going to let you pay 2,000 and let you target a face-up monster on the field, and it becomes dark. And also, you can pay 2,000 life points to send a fusion or a polymerization normal spell to your graveyard, and then the effect of this card becomes it. And then when this card is activated, you can't special summon for the rest of the turn, which is fine. But we're trying to mill from the deck a little bit. So we're going to go ahead into Anaconda, and no, we're not going into Dragoons, and we're not going into Rainbow Neos. We're going to go ahead and send from our deck to the graveyard a copy of Destiny Fusion. Now I'm going to show you guys the most important targets for Destiny Fusion. The most important targets for Destiny Fusion, which was a big comment on the other channel, or on the, not on the other channel, but on the other video, was, what do you send to grave? So we're going to go ahead and send a copy of Malicious, which is important. You always send Disc Commander, and you're going to send any other one that you have, which is usually a Draw Hand that you're going to want to send, but since we already have Draw Hand in the graveyard, it's not that big of a deal, but you can go ahead and send the extra Draw Hand from your deck to the graveyard, because this is going to get you directly into a copy of Dominance, which is going to help you out in the long run of things, because you just milled 3 out of the deck, and you have more plays that are more consistent in this deck. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle the deck up, and it's going to get you a Draw 3 during your opponent's end phase as well. So we're going to go ahead and send these to grave, and we're going to summon out a copy of Dominance. I usually special summon it in defense position. It doesn't super matter. And also, what you can do with the copy of Dominance now is you can use its effect to stack your deck. Because now I get to look at the top 5 of my deck or my opponent's deck, and I get to look at them and then I get to pick which goes where. So I'm going to always put that on the bottom. The golden bamboo sword is really nice to draw into, and I also have the dogma or the plasma that I can draw into that can work with the trade-in. So I have essentially a draw 4 coming, which is what's really cool, because I'll draw this during the next turn, draw these 2 during the next turn, and then draw these 2 off the copy of the golden bamboo sword. But I better start planning, because I'm going to get 3 off of this as well. So I'm looking at around 7 cards that I'm going to draw in the next turn just off of that if nothing gets rearranged. So I'm going to go ahead and pass to my opponent, and even if they destroy this by battle, let's just go ahead and say they destroy this by battle. And once they get rid of it, they're going to get rid of this too. And once they get rid of that too, or it pops itself during the end phase, I'm going to get back my copy of Draw Hand, Disc Commander, and a copy of Malicious to my side of the field, or Drill Dark. It doesn't super matter, whichever one you want to summon. It doesn't matter. And then also your copy of your Draw Hand will go off that says, if this card is special summoned by the effect of hero monster, you can make each player draw a card. And then during the next standby phase, after this card was sent to the grave, you can special summon this card from your graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. So during my opponent's standby phase, I actually, if you back up, you can actually do this, because during your opponent's standby phase, this will special summon, and I'll get a draw 1. Then during my opponent's end phase, this dominance will actually pop itself because of Destiny Fusion, and I'll get back the copy of Disc Commander, the copy of Malicious, and now I get the Drill Dark. So I get 4 monsters for the price of 1. Then I have the ability of my Disc Commander that lets me draw an additional 2, because it's only once per duel, but I still got to draw 2. Now when it goes back into my turn, let's say they destroyed this, but during the end phase, they didn't get rid of these monsters. This actually banishes itself, so keep that in mind. We're going to go ahead and do some really cool plays. So we're going to go ahead, and I like to go ahead and link summon right here. I would go ahead and link these 2 away and do some really cool, easy plays. You can go ahead and summon out your copy of Isolde here, because the Isolde is going to help you out in the long run of things, because it's going to get you a search. Because once you get that search, it's just going to help you out. Or you can leave it on the field because you knew that the next 3 cards off the top of the deck were going to be this. And it's not going to super help you to grab any of those cards, so you can go into the Isolde to shuffle the deck up. So go ahead and use your copy of Isolde, and you're going to grab a warrior from your deck to your hand. It doesn't super matter which one it is. Just grab something. I would probably grab the Drill Dark, because I'm not going to summon the Drill Dark to my field. And then you can do some other really cool stuff. So now we're actually shuffling the deck. You can go ahead and banish the Malicious from the graveyard and special summon out the copy of Malicious from the deck, which is also pretty helpful to get that card out of your deck, because you're basically trying to make the deck smaller so you can go into some more plays. So once we shuffle it up, this is turn 3. I will mention to you guys, so keep that in mind. And then we can go into another play, which is going to be super helpful. So go ahead and link away these 2 monsters on your field and go directly in for a copy of Cross Crusader, because this card, if this card is link summon, you get to target a Destiny Hero monster in your graveyard and special summon it. You contribute a Destiny Hero monster, add a hero monster with a different name from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of this card once per turn, and you can't special summon monsters the turn you activate this effect except for hero monsters. So you could go, instead of the Isolde, you could go for this instead if you didn't have the Malicious already on the field. That is another option. But if you're trying to get draw power, you can get your copy of Isolde. So that is another option for you guys. So this is our field right now, and this is our hand. So we have a bunch of plays in our hand. So I'm going to go ahead and use my copy of Dogma with my copy of Trade-In, and I'm going to send those to grave. And I'm going to draw 2 off the top of the deck, which gets me another Bamboo Sword and a golden and a copy of my Exodia piece. Now you can activate the copy of Golden Bamboo Sword on your Isolde, and then you can activate Golden or Broken to add Golden, and then you're going to grab 2 more off the top of the deck, 2 more off the top of the deck, and now we're probably just going to win because you have all sorts of different draw power. We're going to go ahead and draw again, which is a trade-in and a lure. We're going to go ahead and trade in our copy of our plasma away. We're going to go draw again. We got another Exodia piece. You can go ahead and use the Destiny draw with your copy of Drill Dark, which is going to get us another draw 2. And I think we just won right there. We actually assembled all the pieces of Exodia right there on turn 3, which is what's really cool about this deck. And what's really neat about this deck is if I wouldn't have drawn into this and I would have kept drawing in this particular build, you can get another copy of Plasma out of the deck, which is really neat, like that, and then tribute summon these 3 onto your field to kind of negate your opponent's field as well, so you have options to, with the Plasma, to negate monster effects, which is really, really neat about this build. And that's why I like playing this particular build over any other Exodia build currently. So let's go ahead and see what we can do with another test hand. And you're going to want to pile shuffle every time, which I will have to do, guys, because if you don't pile shuffle, you run into the chance that you're going to draw into those copies of Exodia, or you notice that I drew like 3 copies of Cursed Bamboo Sword very close together. So I will recommend to you guys every single time you play this deck, pile shuffle, because it's extremely important for this particular deck. It is Dad's golden rule number 1, so just make sure that you do that, because if you don't, you will run into issues. You will run into, hey, I drew 4 pieces and no draws, and it's just a problem, or I drew 4 pieces plus 1 Drill Dark and I have nowhere to go because I didn't pile shuffle, which can happen. So let's go ahead and shuffle the deck up and see what we can actually pull off for the next test hand. So for the next one, we're going to go ahead and draw into a Cursed Bamboo Sword, a Trade-In, a Lure of Darkness, Destiny Fusion, and a Cursed Bamboo Sword. So this is pretty decent. If we went second, I'm just going to show you guys, if we did go second, we'd draw into another Lure, which wouldn't change all that much because I'm not about to blind a Lure, because I'm going to really regret it if I do. I would probably just do a very simple play and kind of bait our opponent to show them, hey, I'm not playing Exodia, I'm playing Destiny Hero. So I'm going to go ahead and activate the copy of Destiny Fusion, and once I go into the Destiny Fusion, I can blind a Lure because I'll know what's coming. So I'm going to show you guys, again, the big targets that you're going to hit. You're going to special summon out your copy of Disc Commander, Draw Hand, and your copy of Malicious. These are the most important ones to be able to use with this particular monster, because you can use their effects to special summon additional monsters from the deck, which is pretty important. So we're going to go ahead and special summon out our copy of Dominance, because Dominance is pretty good in this deck. So we're going to go ahead and special summon out the Dominance, and it doesn't, I don't believe it actually says what position you have to summon it in. No, it doesn't. You just special summon it to your side of the field. And now we're going to use our copy of our Malicious, and you can use the copy of Malicious in the graveyard to special summon another Malicious, but since these are the only ones in your graveyard, I probably wouldn't. But now you can use Dominance's effect, because it says, during your main phase, look at the top 5 cards of yours or your opponent's deck and put them back in any order. So I'm going to look at the top of my deck, and I'm going to try and get either a dark monster or a level 8 so I can get another draw. So I'm going to look at the top, and there it is right there. I have additional plays that I can go into. I have the golden and the cursed that I can go into as well, and I can stack the deck a little bit like this and then put it right back. So once I go ahead and blind a Lure against my opponent, I'll know what's coming, and I'll draw into these 2, and I'll go ahead and pass against my opponent by equipping the Cursed Bamboo Sword onto my copy of Dominance, because it's going to give me a golden bamboo sword. So now, once I pass against my opponent, if they destroy this by battle, it's going to touch the grave, and it replaces itself by putting these 3 Destiny Heroes back on the field, which is really, really good, which is going to get us a draw 3. This will go to the grave, and then they will chain against one another. I'll get to add a copy of a golden bamboo sword from my deck to the grave, or from my deck to my hand, and then these 2 will go off, and then I'll shuffle the deck before I do, because I did search technically, even though I knew it was there. And now these 2 will go off and go Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2, so they can't block this one, which is really important. So we're going to go ahead and draw 1, and we're going to draw 2, and we're going to draw 3. And now we're going to go ahead and pass, and now it's our opponent's still their turn, and now it's back to us. If they don't destroy these, we're just going to leave them. It's not going to be a big deal. If they destroy them, it's fine. If they don't, that's fine too. It helps us to have them, but it doesn't hurt if we don't. So don't forget, with that Allure of Darkness, you did have to banish off of it, because I didn't, and I didn't banish the copy of Dogma. So that's important to make sure that you're banishing correctly. So once we go ahead and pass turn, we're going to draw for turn, which is another copy of Dogma. Now we're going to go ahead and link these 2 away, and I would again probably summon the Isolde, because the Isolde's going to get us the majority of our plays. So we're going to go ahead and summon out a copy, or add from our deck to our hand, a copy of a level 8. I would probably add a copy of Dogma, because I'm not going to summon it. and then we're going to shuffle the deck again, which is really, really helpful to go ahead and shuffle the deck. Kind of take stock of how many cards you got left, maybe count them as you go, like 5, 10 right there, 15 right there, 20, and then you got 24. So if I can get 24 draws potentially, like a draw 24, which is not going to be a big deal in this deck, to be honest with you. Like, I'm not saying that to be actually like, oh, we can draw 24 times, but look at my hand. Like, I've already got like a draw 6 already here, draw 8 in my hand. Like, it's not going to be that bad. So we're going to go ahead and start drawing. So I'm going to go ahead, and you could also, if you wanted to, you could have equipped this to one of those monsters before you go into the Isolde. You could have done that as well. Or you can do this instead and link these two away. And then this was equipped to the Disc Commander and summon Anaconda here. And then add from deck to hand a copy of another Bamboo Sword card if you have another one, which is the Golden Bamboo Sword that we have left. You can do that if you want to. I would recommend it because it'll get it off your field and just get you an additional monster. Don't resolve this yet. So now we got this on the field, you can go ahead and equip the copy of the Broken Bamboo Sword, start activating, draw 2. And then, oh, we got 2 pieces. There's 2. We're going to stick those in the back. Go ahead and trade in. Draw 2 more. Oh, we got a 3rd piece. There it is. And then we're going to go ahead and draw 2 more, which we're going to draw into a copy of this. I'm just going to go ahead and ditch those. Draw 2 more. Oh, yeah, forgot. Don't do that. Don't do that. I totally messed up. Go ahead and use your copy of Malicious in the graveyard. I saw that. Don't forget to do that. Since it's test hands, we can do that. Make sure that you special summon out your copy of Malicious to your side of the field. That is something you can forget. That is something why we play test and why we do this is to show you guys, hey, don't forget this. This is important. Don't forget to get your copy of your Malicious on your side of the field because it's going to help you out in the long run to make sure that you go off into that play. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to Golden Bamboo Sword again, draw 2 more, and then we're going to go ahead and use our Destiny draw. Go ahead and send these 2 to the grave, draw 2 more, which we're going to get enough 1 day of peace. Where opponent's going to draw, we're going to draw, and I think did we hit it yet? No, we're missing 1 piece. Okay, so we're going to hit it again, and we're going to discard a copy of Dogma. I know you got a lot of cards rolling in your hand at this point. We got another copy. We got an Allure. We're going to drop that Allure, draw 2 more, banish the copy of Drill. No, keep the Drill Dart. Banish the Plasma. Now we're going to Allure again, and we're going to draw 2 more, which is a Destiny draw. Discard this to the graveyard, go ahead and draw 2 more, which is a trade-in. We're just drawing the combos. Like, you draw every single time. I have 1 card left in my deck, and it's the 1 Exodia piece. Are you kidding me? And I draw into the last Exodia piece, and we win, which was the literal last card in the entire deck that we drew into. And I will show you guys this too. If your opponent at any time stopped you, you still had plays that you could go for with this particular hand because you had the copy of the Anaconda that you could have done early if you wanted to go that way. Or since we didn't normal summon this turn, you could normal summon out your copy of the Drill Dark and then special summon out the Draw hand and then tribute all 3 of these on your side of the field to be able to summon Plasma to your side of the field to get you more plays to gobble up an opponent's monster. Or if you, since you had these on the field, you could also link these away and go for a Sor Yugioh, which is the last bet of this entire draw. Like, I usually go Sor Yugioh last because I usually want to save it for an emergency situation that will come up that I won't have any other draws in my hand and I need to kind of fix my hand. I'll use Skull Dread to get me more draws. So that's pretty important. Also remember that you need to banish your Malicious pretty early on. I did make a mistake and didn't do that. We did fix it, but that's okay. That's the point of the test hand, is to show you guys that and to make the mistake so you guys can not do it when you're actually playing against somebody. But it's really fun to play this deck. It's really fun to carry this. Like, if you're in a tournament, you win your round, you lose your round, you pull this deck out, you're waiting on the next round to start, and you start playing around with this deck, and people are like, what are you playing? And you're like, Destiny Exodia. And they're like, what is that? And it's like, it's the Solitaire deck. Don't worry. I'm playing Solitaire over here by myself. which this deck is fun to be able to do that because you can pull it out and start playing against yourself and like see what you can actually pull off. Because like I just showed you guys, both times by turn 3 we drew Exodia, which is the whole point of this particular build. But I like this because it's a little bit more consistent, that it can kind of stop your opponent if needed to grab the Exodia pieces out. You can kind of stop from grabbing them and start bouncing over to actually plasma and stuff like that instead, with dominance as a backup plan to be able to go into some really neat plays. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. I hope you did enjoy this test hand video. It was super fun to actually do. And we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.